I waited so long, there'll be no decency, no. Don't you give me those shifty eyes. Pay attention, dirty. Talk, talk, talk. Quiet just as long as you're gone. It won't happen at all. Remember the time we talked about everlastings. Don't you know we both fall to pieces too? April 22nd at the Avalon. Tease me, hook up with me, met at the rally. Shifty eyes, pay attention, daddy. Talk, 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 quiet just as long as you're gone. It won't happen at all. Shifty eyes, pay attention, daddy. Talk, 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 quiet just as long as you're gone. It won't happen, no. Don't go away, we're so near. Look around, you see there's nothing to say but the things I know. I got nothing to say but the things I know. Standing in line, I think you're pretty. Lying on your bed, I think you're pretty too. Young girl, curl your hair at night. Hook up with me, man, at the rally. Don't you give me those shifty eyes. Pay attention, dirty. Talk, talk, talk. Quiet just as long as you're gone. It won't happen at all. Shifty eyes, pay attention, buddy. Talk, 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 louder just as long as you're gone. I won't leave you alone. Remember we was down low, remember we was down cold, but thank God we made it, thank God we made it, thank God we made it, yeah. Thank God we made it, thank God we made it, thank God we made it, yeah. Thank God we made it, yeah. 10, sparking 10, mixing hot and cold, the temperature never blend. Protect me from my enemies that coming yet again. Baby, we protected from whatever come against. You know we could leave off driving new rims, and you know we could leave this where it could have been. Lord, I pray you help me cut off all those loose ends, cause I can keep on falling, falling yet again. And if I put my all in, is there still a chance? They say thank God, man, I do it in advance. Out in top of valley, you know where I should have been. Lights, and you know they getting dim. They say thank God, man, I do it in advance. They say thank God, man, I do it in advance. They say thank God, man, I do it in advance. They say thank God, man, I do it in advance. Remember we was down low, remember we was down cold, but thank God we made it, 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 thank God we made it. Thank God we made it. Thank God we drop. When it drop, they say it get lonely at the top. They aiming for my soul, I hear 100 shots. And they get active when I hit a block is hot. I'm not a fan of this life is glamorous. You get down and dirty, it could end up scandalous. And I mean, well, I told them be well. Let the pride blind your eyes and you can't see well. Remember we was down low, remember we was down cold, but thank God we made it, Thank God we made it. Thank God we made it. Yeah. Thank God we made it. Thank God we made it. Thank God we made it. Thank God we made it.
Celebrate this night with me, although it's not the last time. There's a fire inside of me. I wanna burn for you tonight.
Have mercy on
Me,
they try to put the weight on
me,
bounty on my head, they put the money on
me,
more of you and less of made a mess of
me,
and that's on
me.
they asking about my whereabouts and where I'm at. My body right in front of you, my mind is up where I'm heading at. Trying to get me to throw away, but how am I gonna live with that? Every time you see me now, all you hear is pow, in and out of town, Try to step up in the ring with me, we going rounds, Go ahead and tell your coach he better throw the towel. Got a lion in my corner and I'm never letting down, cause it's pow, Go 100 rounds, you done sparked a fire inside of me that's never going out. Had me locked down for a decade, couldn't even make a sound. Now I've come back to take what I own, cause you don't have me bound.
Celebrate this night with me, although it's not the last time. There's a fire inside of me. I wanna burn for you tonight.
Have mercy on they try to put the weight on bounty on my head, they put the money on more of you and less of made a mess of and that's on
Inside of me, I wanna burn for you tonight.
All right, what's up, y'all? Happy Friday. It's that time, guys. It's time to wrap up this week. Time to close this off strong. Before we get started, as usual, just want to have a moment of gratitude, some presence. I absolutely, I'm just grateful to God that I'm here, that my legs work, that I'm able to just, put them to work, go run, go sweat. Definitely don't take it for granted. I'm grateful that I woke up today and that I have a place to be here with you guys where we get to put our skills to the test every single day to get some, just get clarity. It's like, I feel like we go into the Coliseum every day and like what version of you is going to show up, and I don't know. What I love about what we do here is that you have to show up pretty fucking good every day. You have to show up at a pretty top tier every single day. And if you don't, obviously you can miss a little bit here and there, but there's only a certain level of mediocrity that the market will tolerate from you. And so I'm grateful that we have that. That's the person I am, at least. I'm glad that we have these challenges, that we have these experiences that test our character, test our willingness, test our discipline, because that's really how you find out who you are. Right? At the end of the day, that's the only way that you know. So I'm grateful for the challenge that's going to be here in front of us with the markets enticing us, whether it's through greed, whether it's fear, doubt, hesitation, whether the market wants to put us in a state of living in the past or putting us too much in the future. So let's go crush it. Let's see what these markets have in store for us. Honestly, there's actually a good amount of setups that I like right now. So yeah, let's make it happen. If you guys were asking, yeah, those two songs, those last two were by Kai Uria. I think Nancy put me onto this guy. I've heard a few of his songs. Sick, super good, great message, and got that hip hop vibe. But anyways, we have a little bit of everything here. A little bit bummed that silver took forever to finally make this breakout, but whatever. So we have, I'm in between buys with silver and gold. I'm leaning a bit more towards buying gold here. Gold had this clean push down towards the end of Tokyo's session. And so right now we're right around the 38.2 pullback with gold after we made this higher high and the market traded above this structure for a good 4 hours. So I like what we got going on over here from a structure perspective. I won't get too aggressive with my take profit with this trade. So I'm not going to target a higher high. I'm going to be focused on a kind of intraday trading this one within the range of the day. So I won't be super ambitious, if you will. Maybe a 3R here within the range. But yeah, I like what we could see here. At the moment, if we look at gold, or if we look at silver, my bad, silver was really bullish, popped off, honestly leaving us some equal highs up here as well. But the pullback is pretty aggressive. We've already seen this come down and work its way about 50% of the way down. So I do think we're just a little bit more bearish with silver. Things can change. We had a huge liquidity sweep here before the market rallied. So this could be interesting. However, these lows are very close to each other. So I think the best case scenario for buying metals would be a divergence. So if we were to get, let's say, silver to be making a lower low. So let's say we were to get silver to break below while gold gets into the zone and is within the structure. That's the kind of buying that I'm into here. So we'll stay tuned. We'll see what happens. Alerts are set if we start getting closer to the range. That's metals. Now we have 5 minutes before the indice market opens. And, you know, I'm curious. I'm curious over here. I'm going to talk buys first, and then we'll get into the sell side of the market. Because, I mean, it's there. There's a bit of both. So first, S&P. S&P makes a very clear spike to the downside towards the end of New York session yesterday. So we see 10R on silver. Yeah, damn. You're wild. That's, yeah, good work, dude. So we see a clear sweep of the low. The market tries to get higher highs here. Doesn't. Struggles. Builds out some liquidity. So we see that rolling out right here. Followed by this, we get the market to finally trade above here. It kind of like, it comes up and down and up and down. So it's decent structure above here. I'm not fully sold on it. And so I know. Some of you want this buy. I get it. I see it. I just think it's vulnerable. I think if these highs kind of struggled, this low might as well. So I'm not completely sold on this idea. It has potential. But I don't think there's a coincidence that there's also another liquidity sweep right here. And not all liquidity sweeps are built the same, my friends. So you have a sweep here. Market tries to get above, fails, goes again. So this low makes more sense. Now, there's a couple other reasons based off of what else is happening in the market in which I think is worth seeing so that this trade makes more sense. So check this out. Now, this brings me to Dow Jones. Now, Dow is not dropping the same way. You're going to see this push down at like 245 for S&P. Also happens with Dow Jones right around here. So that's this low, this push here. Now you have kind of two zones. Here's a massive sell-off. This really entices sellers right around here. So this is like that 12 to 30-ish, that lunchtime meltdown. Then we get another aggressive push down towards the end of the day. So we kind of get two really big sell-offs. And both of them take out some money over here. So I think we can get into this area as well and get reversals from here. especially now that we're seeing a break above this high. So New York high got broken above. You can see that's very different to S&P. S&P doesn't break this high. Dow does. And we trade above here for several hours, like 4 hours or so. And then we're working our way down. So as I'm looking at structure, S&P is sitting at like a 38.2, or Dow Jones YM is right around a 38.2 pullback. S&P here is definitely not the same, right? This is retracing a bit deeper, almost a 50% pullback in between these two. So that leaves us with NQ. NQ has a little bit of a push down here, but everything's so bearish here. Everything is really starting to just work its way down, really melt away. So I don't know. I feel like you get the flip, right? Where now could NQ react at here? Yeah, maybe. But this is like low-hanging fruit to me. This is enticing, but it's not it's not what's good for me. It might be good for the monkey brain, but it's not good for being a professional here. There's the Tokyo lows that I think can get swept. There's New York lows that I think can get swept, and that alone may push, Dow further down, S&P further down. So look at this, S&P with an initial reaction out of the zone, fine. It can react. That's totally okay. That's not really my business here. I want to see if where we are, if NQ takes out Tokyo lows, New York lows, where does that put Dow? What do we get from that moment? So that's on the radar right now. Oh, I marked up the wrong one. All right, here we go. So yesterday we do end up getting good mitigation plays from indices, some shakeout setups, all that good stuff. But I don't want this chart to get too messy. But yeah, taking out these Tokyo lows. So we kind of have two major zones, but this is the main one that I'm looking at right now. Right here, and for this to clear Tokyo lows, maybe trade into this imbalance, I think is the key here. So what I'm going to do is to make our lives a little bit more simple, a little easier. Let's get a dual screen going. What is NQ going to do? And then what is, let's just go like 10-minute here. So we have a decent outlook. Delete some of this over here. So this is NASDAQ right now. All right, NASDAQ starting to reject out of these zones, play out of these zones. That's okay. No rush on my end. You're seeing S&P within this range right now. So I really think there's kind of two types of trades here, both similar, but S&P and Dow. Now I'm going to move us over to silver and metals just to get a good look at where we're at here. Silver's worked its way about 50% pullback. Okay. Gold, on the other hand, still sitting above 38.2. So right now, gold definitely holding structure significantly better. Okay. S&P currently reacting from the lower zone. So maybe some of you took this zone, which I said, okay, I get it if you do. For me, it wasn't. I feel like it's going to be short-lived, so I'm passing, right? If I was in this S&P, so I'm sure there's one person out of however many people are on right now that are in this, right? You already took this. And the reaction that it's giving already, this kind of move, I would be moving my stop loss to break even. I would be protecting my capital by now. At least that's how I'm looking at this. But something interesting is happening, is that Dow is starting to work its way down first, actually. Dow is starting to push lower right away. And it seems like, more than likely, is NQ kind of holding up here? Yeah. Okay, interesting. S&P Global News in 12 minutes. Beautiful. So what do we have? You know, what can unfold from here? Is S&P going to hold up? Do we get a nice little spike down to this level? Because now we're seeing Dow super bearish, working its way lower. I don't want to buy the bear. You have this trend line right now. So right now, Dow Jones just cracked this trend line, breaking below liquidity right now. Okay, that's liquidity sweeps happening in real time. NQ actually with the good bounce. NQ did hold that zone that we talked about. So all of the setups here that for me were a bit more vulnerable as of right now. Yeah, they did their thing. So we have the mitigation of these zones. Part of trading is being able to see setups play out without you. Another type of, it's not your setup, just like a entry, a strategy will work sometimes when yours doesn't. Now, what's interesting about price action right now is that they're moving in opposite directions. So NQ is ripping, Dow is dipping. In these kinds of circumstances, when they're moving in completely opposite directions, I'm typically in favor of still trading what has a valid idea. So if we were to continue to go lower and NQ continues to go higher, I am open to taking a position here because we have basically, here we go. Shalom. Shalom. So you also have these two zones, right? You got these right here. Now look at how NQ is starting to, this is wild. Now it's starting to push down, Dow is starting to push up. Okay. And meanwhile, S&P is starting to push back down. Now, I feel like these charts look messier than usual. It's got a lot going on over here. Let's see. So you have Dow sitting at about 50 to 618 pullback. S&P 38.2% pullback. Okay. And Q still pretty bearish. So I wonder what's going to set us up for buys. It looks like NQ is still going to take these lows out. Here where the markets are kind of going back and forth, you know, the correlation is kind of going back, like which one's more bearish, which one's more bullish. And these kind of environments, you kind of have to slow yourself down, right? You have to be able to process the information. Like process information quickly while you're maintaining a level-headedness about it. So yeah, we do have S&P Global Manufacturing here in a couple minutes. What, 8 minutes? That could be the spike down into this range. So let's see how the next couple minutes align. Now here's one thing too, right? We had this spike right there, about 138 points. And guess what? This just bounced right out of this. So we just exchanged from this push down to this one. So that was like this lower zone right here. So, okay, mission accomplished on that end. like we talked about S&P or Dow here, swept liquidity. So we see the sweep of these lows. Great. And then the market goes, as soon as it clears the lows, it comes right back up. So in a way, right, and this takes out London lows, in a way, we could be seeing a form of a shakeout for Dow. Clears the liquidity. If we get some demand here, we might have buys here. But you got to give it time. You can't just rush these. Considering that S&P has the news event, it feels like this lower zone is going to play out. So let's go to one screen real quick. Let's make this easier. Yeah, considering we have news here in a bit, this has already mitigated, so this did its thing. We have the lower zone over here. I think we can get buys down over here with the news event. Nice little sweep of the low, continuation. Yeah, I can see it form like this. I can see this being the way that this plays out. Why have a news event if you're not going to make any news? You got to make a little bit of a splash over here. All right. NQ, where's NQ at? NQ going for the lows, 5 minutes out from the news. Tokyo lows, New York lows. The fun begins. On the other side of the equation, silver just kind of, so initial, it's like that initial bounce. Cool. Gold trading right all the way back up here now. So liquidity definitely is holding up over here for metals. They're trading differently than indices. It's not really the same type of market behavior. So I will kind of separate these for now. And then oil, man, kind of been a struggle to get anything out of this. So, I mean, you have one push down here that made that gap from Wednesday to Thursday. You have another push down here as well. Yeah, I don't know. I could see this resistance over here. The market bouncing out of here. It looks like it already did. So yeah, maybe you have oil sitting over here. I'm gonna have an alert if it gaps, but that's really about it. Metals might take a little bit longer. Maybe it's later in the day kind of situation. NQ still very bearish. Looks like it's going for the lows here soon. Dow holding up. So Dow did the liquidity sweep, holding up this zone pretty well. 3 minutes till we have news. It's lining up more and more for this S&P play. NQ now taking out Tokyo lows. The London lows are New York lows here. Seem like they'd be next. How do I change the title of this thing? Where is this? All right. All right, so you know what? Considering we're only a couple minutes out, I'm going to set a limit here. Let's see. What's the leader? 142. One second, y'all. All right, we're good. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm gonna set a limit here. $12 micros. In case we get some wick action over here. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be more chill. This is looking more and more like Dow could do kind of a shakeout. We've been up here for 5, 6 minutes. So the equal lows over here for Dow definitely don't make this that enticing. So I probably won't pursue anything with Dow yet. It might go lower. And then we have NQ that took out Tokyo lows already. Okay, interesting. All right, so for this, let's see, is this a statistic? Yeah. All right, so let's go split screen. And then we'll have, what do we want on screen here? Dow or NQ? Let's have NQ on the radar here. Okay. Get some news action here. Tokyo lows swept first. S&P kind of chilling. Nothing crazy. Dow did in fact do the shakeout here. Pulled in, starting to rally. That in correlation with NQ taking the low, maybe that was sufficient. So it could be it. Could be gone. S&P still kind of chilling here. All right, cool. So didn't really do too much. It is going to be a catalyst, it looks like. So no big spike down. It looks like it was pretty minor before the market continued. Looks like this move kind of set up that shakeout that I was talking about with Dow. So nice. And Q going for the New York lows, looks like. Can we get that clearance? Dow doing the opposite. S&P is just frozen in time, sadly. Can't go anywhere. All right, so if we're going to, let's say, also think about what is it like to trade with momentum here? The markets have been bearish for the most part, so is there a position that we might be, what's the word I'm looking for? Ignoring, or are there sells that we could have that we haven't really taken advantage of? It seems like this, like post New York Open, this spike up with NQ, I think that played out of this candle right there. So if let's say NQ continues to be really bearish, I do think we have a selling moment up here. Within the range, which is not my favorite place to look for sells. But one thing that I noticed that in downtrends with indices, you just don't get super clear setups. It's a little easier, or you get more setups trading order blocks than just like big mitigation movement. So we'll see. Dow ripping, so the shakeout would have been excellent. Anyone take this, a Dow little shakeout? My camera's frozen. Why does it do this, dude? This has been a problem lately, and I'm not sure why. How sad. I'm just here looking sad at the market. Why has it been doing this? All right, well, let's see. All right, looks like we're back. Look at that thing go. So the equal lows, yeah, it didn't make sense. This threw off the setup for me for sure. If you look at YM though and not MYM, it's also basically the same thing. So I think there was definitely vulnerabilities to it. So like I'm not really tripping on that. It's not really too much of my concern. I think that if we can maintain bearishness with NQ, then shorting around here makes sense. Let's go. Congrats, Luis. Fellow syndicate member just got funded with TopStep. Let's go. Nah, let's show some love. What's up, y'all? Come on now. You know what? Y'all, do me a favor, y'all, real quick. To celebrate Luis, let's hit the like button. Something's going on. Either I'm getting shadow banned or I suck at this. Luis, what's up? Got the gang coming out here. Hell yeah. Maybe it's just Friday and everyone's over it. Yeah, dude, silver. Imbalance, a rejection here. Gold, still chilling. So it looks like that news event was a pretty good catalyst to just drive everything up quite a bit. For now, don't get too excited, y'all. This could still drop, so don't get too excited. Yeah. Congrats, and it's cool to see because there were definitely some really key changes to your trading system. NQ just took out New York lows, guys, so that is a major liquidity sweep there. New York lows swept. If we zoom out some more, we still have the low of the week to clear. So let's just make that here. All right, so have an alert here as well. This may happen by the time I finish even saving this. And so where is that bringing the rest of the market? So let's zoom out. Where can that drive us to? To be fair, if you look on the 4 hour, really the next major zone is over here. So low of the week swept. You have a huge sell-off with NASDAQ from May 4th right over here. So I know a lot of times people like they'll see like something like Dow and S&P being bullish and they go, oh, well, let me buy NQ because, well, it's the one that hasn't gone up yet. And then you're just waiting for it to do what the other ones are doing, but you have no confirmations. So chill. All right, so check it out. We have S&P pushing down. Now I'm going to delete this limit real quick. S&P is starting to crash. Tokyo lows look like they'll be swept soon. Meanwhile, Dow over here. Skirt. All right, getting there. Dow over here has these equal lows to take out as well. It's got Tokyo lows over here. So I still think we have a little bit of opportunity because we did reject originally this move, right? And we made a huge like 178 point move. But do we still see another reversal after the market keeps going lower? So if S&P sweeps Tokyo lows and it just keeps going lower and lower and lower, is a Dow Jones setup still in play? What do you guys think? Look at NQ go. She's just dying out. Jeez. you'd have to really, you would have had to sold off like the open of this push from like 655 to really have anything here. Like, other than that, I don't really have a setup with this at all. So, NQ, like if we're going over to what happened with NQ in the past, like this May price action over here. Hold on, I know it's take me a little bit here. Here we go. So NQ is sitting over here right now. NQ is trading in this environment. Now, I believe this is a different contract. So this may look a little differently, but we are still about 140 points away from where NQ would mitigate. So a part of me is tempted to just wait until NQ gets to here to even consider buying Dow. Dow for me would have to clear at least the 71% like where these equal lows are. Like I'd have to see at least this get swept to consider any buys. Got some money sitting here. Why can't you? Here we go. Got liquidity here. Yeah, dude, super hyped for Luis. Based off our syndicate sessions and the way that obviously like you've gone through your data, like making that switch over to a lower RR and that giving you a higher win rate, the psychological benefits of that seems like they're paying out, man. So let's go. Since it already mitigated, wouldn't that DQ the setup unless it creates a shakeout? It mitigated this setup over here. This one, like this drop right there, but I'm looking at the bigger drop. So it mitigated this one right here. What was it? But I'm looking at when it dropped even more aggressively, like right here. So you had multiple, right? It plays out of here, plays out of here, plays out of here. So you have like multiple huge sells that, in my opinion, hadn't reversed yet. So that's why I'm more inclined and more open to it. So, okay, S&P did poke below Tokyo lows. Not ready for me yet. No, sir. NQ, still got room to drop. So, okay, we chilling. Chilling, chilling, chilling. For sure, took a deep look into ego on why I was simply denying the fact that it was best to aim for 1 to 2R instead of sticking to my 3R fixed target. That alone takes some traders years, if not a lifetime. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Cafecito. Yeah, it takes some traders so long to accept that, you know what? Remember, and I say this, it's like, we think we have beliefs that we're willing to change. We think, yeah, no, I'm willing to change. But sometimes there's beliefs that you just never question to question. Like you never considered even questioning those beliefs. And, especially when you get into trading, your mind, you're like a baby, right? Your mind is very moldable. Like anything anyone says, it's just truth, it's just fact, it's just reality. And that's not always going to be the case. If anything, depending on who you are when you get into trading, it's not necessarily what is the best piece of advice. Like if you're pretty young and certain things impressed you when you got into trading, the types of people that are making that type of content, to be fair, they might not be the most experienced, they might not be the most credible sources. So someone tells you like, oh, you should be going for 10 Rs, 5 Rs, whatever. And you think you should, but they don't know what works best for you. They just either know what works best for them or they just like what they like, right? Or what sounds good, to be fair. And there isn't a better or worse approach. There's just what does this data say and then what does your behavior allow you to do based on where you're at right now as a trader. It's that simple. So you got to have that kind of response. You have to have that willingness. Mainly also because the way I was learning, I simply stuck to the belief that I needed a high RR. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So sometimes we just get exposed to certain ways and that it's the only way. But if someone is telling you that this is the only way that things can be done and it's my way, guys, that's it. They're making it about them and not about you. And as a trader, you got to do what's best for you, best for who you're becoming, best who you need to be. Like, okay, there are certain ways. Let's switch on over to metals real quick, temporarily. But there are certain things that, oh, these are just ripping. All right, so scratch that. That you got to understand is you can't blindly copy anybody else, and especially not in trading. Because trading, the one thing that separates trading with every other thing is that there is, how do I say this without sounding completely insane? Okay. When you're playing music, it's really black and white. Like you hit a note, it makes a certain sound. When you're playing sports, there's like a certain form that like, it's like physics. Like you do shoot it a certain way, like it's gonna move a certain way. You kick it a certain way, it's gonna do a certain thing. The difference is that with all of those things, there's not too much that interferes between your decision. Like you just kind of do it. But with trading, there's a matrix, right? There is a zone, there is a space between what you know and what you do and what you're allowing yourself to do. And so sometimes what mathematically makes sense isn't what makes sense for you, for where you're at right now. So sometimes it's better to, like, can you build your skills and develop your patience and, like understand your behaviors and your emotions so that they're not so impulsive and so they're not making you make all these terrible decisions. Of course, you can do all those things, but in the process of doing that, you can also have your system meet you where you're at. So you don't have to become a completely different trader right away. You can kind of meet yourself where you're at and then improve and scale that way. So sometimes, yes, you already may have a lot of discipline. You may already have tons of patience and you are able to actually trade at a higher risk reward because that's where your edge has to show you that. So the beauty of, going for bigger trades when you're trading with smart money principles is that if you are catching them in the right places, of course, big money comes in, big movements happen, you're able to cash in on that. But you also have to have the technical understanding, know where you're at with the market in itself. And then two, you have to actually be skilled enough in the inner work to be able to let that happen. So in the pursuit of that, in the progress of that, sometimes, yes, it'll be better to drop your win rate down, your risk reward down, which will help your win rate go up. Look at how, dude, Dow or S&P is, what would we call this? Scamming, bro. Got scammed. S&P tapped the sweep and then just ripped. I'm assuming NQ is pulling back really nicely too. Yeah, there goes NQ going for the clean move back up. Doesn't mean it's got to go all the way up. Doesn't mean everything's going to be, just gone. But it is making movement. But anyway, hopefully that gives you guys some understanding, some perspective. Like, I've said this my entire trading. So ever since I've been streaming live before YouTube, obviously, like I've been streaming live since December 2017. And I hope this is felt and this has been true. But yeah, my goal has always been to get the best out of who you are and work to bring like your system to you, and then we build on it as we get rid of a lot of the noise in our mind, the noise in our hearts, the noise in our psychology, in our paradigms. So yeah, and that's like the big reason why, that's basically what we focus on doing in the syndicate every day. Shout out to the last 2 people that just got started in the syndicate. Shout out Brad. Shout out Juan. Super stoked to work with you guys. If I know some of you have been on the sidelines waiting for whatever perfect moment it is for you, keep waiting, but I hope you're getting better while you're waiting. And if you're not, then you know where to go. So here is the link if you are tired of yourself. Here you go. Links there. Now, I'm still not convinced that this is over. I think we still have room to drop. NQ's got like this, right? What I talked about, that 4-hour zone. That I think the motive would be for NQ to work its way down to here, 28,200-ish. And we're not there yet. So I think we can still work our way down there. And in the meantime, I feel like we're going to end up, S&P is just going to end up making more lows as well. So I'm just waiting for everything to line up, and then I'll take my position. Sometimes I honestly ask myself, what would Mike say about this decision? WWMD is crazy work. Let's go, Kanzada. All right, shout out to another syndicate member. Boom, Kanzada just got funded this morning too. That's what's up. Let's go. Come on. Momentum. So we had 2 syndicate members basically clear $5K in payouts this month alone. A couple more this week also get funded. Talk to me. Talk to me. Meanwhile, Fast Track is getting started here in August. If you guys are not locked in there, definitely go make sure you're checking that out, guys. If you're newer to trading, this is your spot right here. Don't miss that webinar, because you will feel good about your trading once you do this. So check that out as well, guys. But is there a sell that we could have had here with silver? What do you guys think? We had divergence, so these lows. This is kind of oh, you know what? Maybe we had this sweep of the high with silver, barely. At the same time, we had divergence, so gold takes the high, and then instantly comes down. Guys, we might be in either shakeout territory for gold. Yeah, let's see. Let's see what this looks like. Gold with a clear, nice sweep of all of this resistance. Took out yesterday's high as well, New York session high. And then immediately working its way down. There's a chance we get some silver action or metals selling here. Stay tuned. We'll stay tuned. We'll see. Don't want to rush nothing. But there's possibilities. Okay, remember what I talked about with NQ? How I said, look, depending on how price unfolds, could we have a selling opportunity here? Could we short out of this range? And we've been below these lows now for the last 20 minutes or more. If we're kind of slowly work our way to here, if this isn't like an extreme rapid movement, I could be for it. I could be down for that. So we're going to wait and see here. Market's got momentum, S&P mitigating, Dow still moving like this, NQ doing its thing. There is a chance, let's say NQ becomes, so that it's funny because once you understand like how smart money moves and flows money around back and forth, you start to see potential, possibilities. And I want you to think about this because your mind is going to see, like, you're going to start to kind of almost see like playing chess. Like, you're going to start seeing different paths in your mind. I don't know if you guys already see this, but like, you can already see, okay, wait, if this happens, then like, okay, there's this type of setup that could show up. And then what if it happens this way, there's this type of setup that also could be there. So just don't allow yourself to marry that possibility. All it is a possibility. It's if this and this and this happen, okay, then I could have a trade. But sometimes, because your brain doesn't like open loops, that's just a fact. The brain likes to close loops. So when you start seeing something unfold that has potential, your brain wants that to be real. So sometimes, even though it does not confirm, you don't get the proper structure, you don't get the demand, but then your brain already told you like, hey, no, it's good, it's fine, trust me. So you have to make sure that you're taking trades that actually have proof that they'll work versus just taking something because it kind of looks like something. All right, back to gold. So gold came down, coming right back up. Nah, I don't like when it's a quick bounce like this. You know, where it comes down, so you have the break, you have the retest. If it's quick like this, I'm not a big fan of going for shorts right away. These fail a little too often for me. Now, if we do something like this, you know, a little bit longer, okay, then I'm down. You know, then we're talking. But not yet. Not yet. Gotta let this settle a little bit. Okay, in the meantime, let's do a quick check-in with oil, majors. We can see what's going on with a couple of things, Bitcoin, stocks, all that jazz. Yes, I do like buys around 80, 80.50, all the way down here. We have a couple different zones that were interesting with oil that we're now very much further away from. And now that we've moved away from this quite a bit, like pretty significantly, I don't know if I'm going to go for some of these higher zones over here. I know initially they had some interest here. But now the sweeps are just not as significant. So I don't see myself taking this one. I think I'll just actually delete this one here. Some sweeps, all that good stuff, but you know, I'm rather patient right now. Oil, nothing really is speaking to me at the moment. Again, Swiss franc is just no chill whatsoever. NZD has bounced out of this zone. I know I had a lower entry. I think some of you guys drew it out like this, or I initially also showed it like this. So we are getting a bounce from slightly higher, like a little order block right there. So a good move. I just had it a little bit lower. The yen is stalling out. Euro, I didn't see an alert for this actually, but Euro did reject our trade perfectly here yesterday. So I guess I missed this. But yeah, did its thing. Like I hit the RR that I had in mind here, which was playing out of structure. It wasn't too big. It was like 1.68. So yeah, I mean, but it played out pretty well. Possible setup could be with CAD here. I don't know if anyone likes trading CAD, but it's been a while for me. But we had a nice liquidity sweep. Market immediately comes back up. So this is the classic. This is the good old, let me just take your money and then we'll just bring price right back to where we were. So you had some liquidity there. You had the trend lines rolling out over here. So liquidity swept, easy. Now it's the signature. All right, are we chilling up here for a little bit? Working our way back down, and then off we go. So I'm gonna have an alert on CAD if we do end up pulling back a bit today. Maybe we have an entry. Maybe it's next week. We shall see. Australian took out the lows, started to do its thing over here. Australian looks like good for sells. Huge move to the upside before it dropped. Keep your eye on that, but the buys eventually make sense with AUD. It struggled to work its way down more than anything else. All right, well, that does it there. All right, so gold is doing what we talked about. It is starting to trade down here. It's just kind of going back and forth the last 8 minutes or so. This is now suddenly, it has potential. Silver a bit more bullish than gold as well, so that lines up. That gives gold this opportunity for shorts. Okay, let's see if we can get it. So yeah, possible sells with gold here. And then, I mean, the easy target is just this liquidity right here. These lows that gold made earlier where we have all this support. Yeah, this has got potential now. Bless you. All right. Okay, let's see. We'll see. We'll see how this unfolds. All right, S&P back and forth, chilling. And Q filled an imbalance off the order block and straight down. So it looks like it wanted to play off the order block only and then losing its momentum. This was, and this kind of makes sense, y'all. This was the last push up before it breaks the major time, like higher time frame ones. All right, so here's where the buyers were lured in one last time. And then, so do I trade break and retest? Not necessarily, but when they're relevant to like high liquidity areas, they do play out pretty well. But it's not just a pattern. It's like, okay, here was a buy order that was created. The market comes back to it to close the buy. Then it can all sell off. So is all, support the same? Not necessarily. This was, you can see it's very intentional. Here it lures in with this bigger move, then drops off. So the market getting back into this position. All right, this is honestly, yeah, this is nice. I like 15-minute versions of this, much better. But yeah, like let's just look at the bigger picture here. Is basically what I'm talking about. Support from all day yesterday, even today. We had another level of support here last week. So there we go. The opportunity for indices buying, specifically Dow, are still there. My point is that we just happen to get below liquidity. We got to get below this first. So let's let NQ just keep melting, let it keep dropping, have it go all the way down to the 28,200. Support becomes resistance, but I don't want you guys to look at it like solely like that. Because then you're going to go and just break and retest your way through everything, and then you're going to take all the trades. And this is why like I'm really careful with teaching concepts, because people tend to strip away the motive, the why, the narrative to it. Patterns alone, at least for me, don't work enough. Context matters. Like without context, patterns fail all the time. And you don't know, okay, when this is valid and when this isn't. So for example here, yeah, you have a whole bunch of support and it breaks. Cool. Then, how does this set up though? So this lures in, this doesn't just have support, but you have a bigger engulfing, like this lures in and engulfs like 10 minutes worth of price. So this tricks a lot of buyers in, engulfing, so it entices the buyers and then immediately drops. And this happens not just, oh, look, like 1 minute support. No, this was supporting all of yesterday's price action, some of today's price action. So it's a stronger level, a much stronger level that broke. A lot more liquidity is present. So then when it comes back to here, the money gets exchanged from buyers to sellers, and that's how you actually get a pretty big drop. So in simple terms, is this the identical pattern to a break and retest? Yes. But does that mean you should take every break and retest? Well, no. Because there needs to be a money motive. There needs to be smart money involved, enticement involved if something like that is going to happen. Because otherwise you're just going to take break and retest everywhere and then you're taking 5,000 trades a day. And that probably won't help your trading. I don't know how if we're going to get the shakeout on metals, it seems like everything else is a bit more bearish than what we're getting here. Okay, so while that does its thing, let's roll back over to the stock side of things. SpaceX still working its way down. Adobe with the bounce back today. I know yesterday we had pretty decent drops. So looks like it's working its way back up beyond approaching 220 again. I won't be surprised if next week we're sitting at 250. Tesla, let's see where we're at. Still working its way a little bit lower. Great. Like I mentioned, guys, let's wait for this. Wait for Tesla to show its truth. Where is it going to reverse? Right now, there's no reason to force anything in there. So wait it out. Losers for the day, Robinhood, big push down. Coinbase, another leg down. After trying to get above here. This failing to maintain that high. So this probably breaks this low. Okay, let's see here. Weeble with some pullbacks. What's DLR? Is this Dollar Tree? No, Digital Realty Trust. Oh, this is an REIT. Do I have this? That's a pretty big jump. These don't really move like this usually. Well, damn. All right, T-Mobile. Oh, T-Mobile's been low-key kind of like struggling. Okay, hold up. Where are we here? All right. I'm going to do one last run through here, indices, see where we're at, and then from there, I'll leave y'all to it. So chopping back and forth here for NQ, almost going back to where we just were trading at. Same thing. Everything is just moving sideways. And that brings us to, let's see, metals, silver starting to come up, and then gold, right? Gold here. Is this valid for a shakeout? We see the market start to pump from like right around here, clears the highs. It comes back down for like where we had this order block. So we do see the market holding it down here for a little bit. I feel like this drops a little bit too low. It kind of breaks where the smart money comes in from. So I'm not in love with gold for a shakeout. I could see, I'd say half risk at best or something. But yeah, so I'm going to take a little bit. I'm going to take a shot at this, but it's not like, I'm not at a full risk capacity with this trade right now. I'm cool with like something halfway through there. Yeah, I'm risking half or less. Just because like this is where it comes up. So it does take it out. It does come back. When it retests, it's sitting down here for 13 minutes or so. So it's not terrible. And then silver kind of, you know, is a little bit more bullish than gold is. So we'll see. Like I said, I don't love it. So if this takes the high out again, I'm not shocked. So if you're like, you know what, I'm not trying to do that, then don't. If I were to lose $250 per account, then I'm cool with that. For the ones that are at that risk, yeah, that's okay with me. Because there is the upside of catching this to a 3.5R because of the liquidity. So for that, I'm down, but I'm not cool with the full R loss on something like this. You know what I mean? So this is all right. If anything, I feel like even just hearing myself, I already know this trade's gonna lose. I'm just like, you don't really give a shit about this one. So yeah, cool. We'll go from there. We'll see what happens, guys. As always, it is a pleasure to be able to spend some time with y'all. Grateful. Had a great week, guys. Market's been giving some good setups. Some have required more patience. Obviously, we take losses as well. That's how this works. You can't have both. You can't win without losing. You can't lose without winning. So keep trading your game. Keep doing your thing. We'll see you on the Fast Track webinar for those of you that are at the beginner stages of your journey or you feel like you're still in that place. And then, yeah, other than that, that's it. That's all I got for y'all. Take care, fam. Peace.